Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm going to be doing a different type of video today. I'm not going to be working on a vehicle on this video. I'm going to be working on my lawnmower. And what I have here is the Craftsman's Lawn Mower. It has the Briggs Stratton engine on it. It has the 5.5 100 horsepower or 140 cc. Pretty darn reliable engine, I must say. And I've had it since, I would say, 2013. I bought it at Sears right before they went out of business in our area, and actually got it as a open box item, I guess you would say. Lady bought it. It was too heavy for her. She returned it. She didn't even use it. So because it was already out of the box, got a discount. Comes with the bagger, which I have in my shed. And it's been very reliable. Since I've owned it, since 2013, I've probably changed oil probably 3 times. This will be the 4th time I'm changing it. Usually I like to change it every season. However, with my size of my yard and with the lack of use that the mower actually gets, I don't really find it fully necessary to change it every season, but I prefer to do that. Also because you get moisture that builds up in the crankcase just from sitting over the winter outside in the shed, and that can actually, you know, dilute and make the oil not as effective as what it should be to protect the engine. So it's been about 2 seasons since I've changed it this time. I'm going to change the oil and I'm going to change the spark plug. So we'll start off with the spark plug, and I will show you what we're going to be using to do that, and then I will set the camera down and actually perform the maintenance on it. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and show you what you need. So I picked this spark plug only for the pure simple fact that it was cheap. I bought it at Walmart. It was $1.84 plus tax. This particular engine uses the RC12YC, probably not seeing that, but it's right there, which is the Champion crossover. Usually I prefer to use just Champions because that's usually what they come with from the factory, and Brigs Stratton packages them. So, but I'm going to just use Autolite because it was $1.84. And I mean, if I get a year or 2 out of it, I think money well spent. And then the oil I chose was, I got this really cheap. It was only $3.59. It's the premium 4-cycle engine oil, Troy built MTD. It's the SAIL 30 or SAI 30 or however you say it. And it comes with this neat little package to, you know, squishy pack to put it in. But really, any, you know, SAE 30, straight 30 oil will be fine, in my opinion. But, you know, I probably have 5W30 in it right now for all I know from when I last changed it. But I decided to actually get the actual lawnmower 4-cycle oil. Supposedly it's formulated a little different for lawn and garden engines. It helps, I guess, with air-cooled engines, keeping them running a little cooler. And also has some additives to help, you know, against rust and corrosion and stuff inside the actual engine. But yeah, that's all I can really think of that would make a difference. But, you know, like I said, do what you feel is necessary for you, but that's more or less the correct oil you should be using. So we'll need a drain pan. So I'm just using my oil drain pan from the car. And we'll also need a socket wrench here. I have on here, I believe, let's see what size I chose. It's a 5/8 socket. It's a deep socket. Now it has that little rubber garment in there, which is actually designed for spark plugs. You don't have to use that, but it just helps keep the socket stable so you don't crack the porcelain on the plug. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to show you how to do that. So what you want to do is make sure it's on a cold engine. You don't want to get burnt. Is first you have to remove the spark plug wire here, which goes to the coil. Just kind of move that to the side. Make sure your socket wrench is on loosen. Pop that on there, and then basically just loosen it. Now that was extremely loose, like super loose. That should have required a little more effort to get that out of there. However, we're changing it. Let me go ahead and take that out for you. All right, and here's your spark plug. It's got some carbon on it. Nothing terrible. Gap looks a little tight on there. I'm just going to leave the gap alone on the new one. I'm not sure what it's actually supposed to be. I didn't look up the specs. If I have any running issues, I'll try to get the gap to, I'll do a, put a feeler gauge in there and I'll check to see what the gap is so I can get the new one pretty close. Basically just go ahead and pop that and set that aside. Grab the new plug. Always want to inspect in there too, make sure you don't see any damage or anything in there. Grab this new plug here. Go ahead and get that. Run that in there. That kind of Usually it's easier not holding the camera. Always want to start these by hand. You're only going into aluminum. I'm going to tighten it all the way down to the point where you can't do it by hand anymore. And then what I'm going to do is actually get that socket wrench on there. Definitely hard to do one-handed. And just tighten it down until it stops. There is probably a torque spec, but I go to kind of like, that's all the tighter you want to go. You don't want it to be, use your mind, not your muscle. Don't want it too tight, because otherwise you'll just strip the threads out. And then take your wire and slide it back over. Make sure it's not leaning too much against this valve cover here. And basically just push it on. You'll hear it click, which I can't do one-handed, but you'll feel it. You'll feel like a click. That means the wire is fully seated on the plug. So if that's all you need from this video is how to change the plug, I'll go ahead and cut out here. If you want to learn how to do the oil change on this, then continue watching. For now, I'm going to sit you up on a tripod. Okay, we're picking back up here. The last clip where I cut off on you was the spark plug change. Now we're going to do the oil change. Now this particular application does not have a drain plug on the bottom, which I'm not too keen on. I prefer that. It's just easier. It's somewhat safer, I guess you would say. But what I'm going to do is, once again, the engine's cold. Some might say warm it up for a minute or two just to get the oil, you know, thinned out a little bit, but I don't think that's really necessary. It's warm enough out today, and plus the advice I'm trying to give you is so you don't get injured or get burnt. So we're just going to leave it on a cold engine and get as much out as we can. I usually don't like having a full tank of gas, because sometimes when we do this procedure, some of the gas may dribble out of the lid, even though it is supposed to be like airtight. This is the dipstick here for the oil fill, and the oil doesn't look terrible, but we're still going to change it anyway because it hasn't been done for quite some time. And so what you actually have to do is remove this dipstick, and then what you always want to do for safety is unplug the coil for the spark plug, move that to the side so that you don't have any accidental startups, because if you're flipping the mower over and you pull the string or turn the blade, there's always that chance that the engine could kick over and actually start, and then someone's going to be opening up your ketchup bottles for the rest of your life. So let's keep it safe, obviously. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove the spark plug wire for safety. I got the cap loose. The gas cap, I made sure it's good and tight, and then what I'm going to do is sit you on tripod, and I'm going to show you the procedure on how to actually change oil on this. Okay, hopefully you're in a good frame of view there. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the oil change like I was saying. I'm going to get some rubber gloves on just to keep from getting covered in oil. I have some blue shop towels here that I'm going to use. Set that aside. This isn't too bad of a job. It only takes about a couple minutes to really do. Figured there might be somebody out there that might benefit from this video. I'm sure there's probably 100 of these videos out there, to be honest, but hey, never know. Maybe somebody will stumble across mine and find it useful. So now that we got that there, go ahead and remove the dipstick and move it to a safe location. I'm gonna check to make sure I still have you in the frame of view, which I do. Excellent. And then here's how you do it. You basically just take the mower with the spark plug disconnected, move all the other crap out of the way, and then you just start tilting it over. And I don't know how well you can see that, but the oil is coming out of the dipstick tube. Let me double check to make sure you're still in the frame, which you are. And the oil, as you can see, is just coming right out of that dipstick tube. And what this is doing is, this is how you change it since there's no drain plug on the bottom. Now while that's draining, I'm going to take you around here. Take a look underneath. Actually looks fairly clean considering I haven't really cleaned it out this year. But normally on most mowers there'd be a drain plug somewhere here on the bottom of the actual engine. This one does not. Just sharpened the blade last season. It's still cutting pretty good. I might, whenever I'm done recording here, just clean up some of this stuff here that's in there, just to, you know, I've heard people spraying Pam under here. So you clean it, get it nice and clean so there's no grass, and then spray like Pam or cooking oil on here, and supposedly that's supposed to keep the grass from sticking, so when you hose it out, it keeps the grass from sticking, so you don't have to worry about it. This mower here is starting to finally show its age. mostly because it really hasn't been upkept as much as I'd like, you know, unfortunately. But that's life, you know. I mean, these things are pretty cheap. Not that I want to be wasteful or anything, but they are pretty cheap. So let's go check on our oil drain over here. It's going to drain out slower because, like I said, it is a cold engine. You want to try to get out as much as you can. They don't really take very much. I don't have the exact measurements on this. I'll look in my book and I'll put it down in the description when I post this video. How much it actually takes, like how many pints or quarts this engine takes. I usually just add a little bit at a time and just keep checking it. So I'm going to sit you back down here for a minute. All right, I'm going to actually turn it a little more so we get even more oil out. Okay, that seems like a pretty good amount I got out of there. So now we can just sit the mower back up on its normal, like climb over it. Take a look here. Now you want to do this somewhere where you don't have, you know, obviously important grass that you're worried about damaging. And that's the drain procedure. So grab your paper towels, clean it up, and then I'm going to show you the filling procedure. Okay, so this is the filling procedure. Like I said, I'm using this 4-cycle Cell 30. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put some in. Like I said, if you look in the pan, it really doesn't have that much in there. I would say that's like maybe slightly over a half a quart, between a half a quart and a quart probably, if I were to take a guess that came out. Now most of that dirt is because whenever I turned it over, the dirt fell off the deck. There is a lot of metallic in there I see, like streams. That just is normal wear. That's a good reason why you should change the oil in these. So we're going to go ahead and just fill it right through the dipstick tube here. Now, you don't want to overfill these. So that should be good for now. Now I can go ahead and sit that aside and then grab my dipstick and a clean rag. And then basically just clean this dipstick off real good, make sure there's no debris up in the cap or anything in here. And then slide that in there and tighten it down for a second. Make sure you're on level, pull it back out, and then we have a good idea where we're at. So it looks like it's actually about on the full line. So there's a lot of oil on the dipstick here, so I'm going to let it finish draining down into the engine through the dipstick tube, let gravity do its thing, and then I'm going to check it here again in a second. In the meantime, if any of you are curious, this is an add bonus footage here. If any of you are curious on how to change the air filter, I don't have one for it, but this is the air filter here. Basically this little clip just lifts up, falls back, sit that aside, and then this is the air filter, which from the base on the looks of it, it definitely could use a new one. Only about a year old, but definitely could use a new one here. It's got some dirt in it, some debris. Make sure it's all clean through here. We're just going to put it back on for now because I did not purchase a new one. Usually grab these on eBay or either eBay or Amazon pretty cheap. It's a good maintenance item. I usually put one on every couple seasons, or if I know I do a lot of mulching of leaves, kicks up a lot of dust, I'll change that. But that's all it is. It just slips in there, you poke it back, clip it back on, and that's your air filter. Come back over here, we're going to check on the oil here, see if it settled down a little bit. See where we're at. I clean off the dipstick again, and I'm going to run that in there again and see where we're at. Okay, so it's definitely at the bottom. It's at that bottom line there, so I'm going to go ahead and get it a little bit more in there to get it to that top line, which is where I prefer it to be. All right, set that aside. I'm going to put the cap back on this just so it doesn't spill over since it's in this wobbly package. Yeah, you should have extra. Usually they give you a little bit more in the quarts they give you. It's probably a quart in there, I would say. 20 fluid ounces, yeah. Actually, 1.25 pints is what it says on the container that I bought. All right. And it's still working its way down the dipstick here, so I'm going to let that drain in for a minute, and then we'll check it again. And it's always a good idea to run these and get them warmed up, and then let them sit 5 minutes and then check it again, just to make sure that the level is still good after you do your oil change. You can also use one of those siphon types of hoses or fluid transfer pumps that you can put down in here and suck out the oil. I like doing it this way, the way that the book tells you to do it, which is turn the mower over, because I found that doing it that way seems like you get all the oil out that's at the bottom, or majority of it, plus any particles that are in the oil tend to, they don't always get sucked up when you're using the fluid pumps. So if you dump it out, it kind of, all those metal shavings that could be built up in the engine will come out with the oil if you turn it over. So, all right, so we are right on the full line. Probably won't see that with the sunlight and how clean the oil is, but we're right on the full mark, so we're going to leave that, and then we're going to clean up a little bit here. I'm going to back the mower up. I'm going to go ahead and put your spark plug wire back on since we're done turning it over. Coil, there you go. Make sure it clicks. Make sure this is good and tight here. Make sure you've got gas and everything in it. Now these mowers notoriously don't start on the first time because they don't have a primer start, so it might take a few tries. Probably good enough. I just want to let it run for a minute, get everything circulating oil wise. That way in a couple minutes here I can let it sit and let all the oil kind of settle back down into the bottom of the engine, and then I can check the level again and make sure it's on that top line. But yeah, I'll see if I can find in a manual the specs on the how much exact oil it does take, and I'll throw that in the description if I can remember. But hopefully this video helps somebody out. Like I said, it's a little different from my typical car repair videos. Basic hand tools. You need nothing special here. Just a 5/8 socket, socket wrench, and spark plug, some rags, something to drain the oil. Just make sure you properly dispose that. Just don't dump it on the ground and your oil. And then, like I said, I recommend grabbing the air filter too for it while you're at it. Might as well, you know. So, but on that, hope it helps. I'm going to quickly zoom in again. Show you the mower. That's it there. Looks like, I think that's the serial number there. Yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching. You know, please comment, and I hope this, you know, subscribe, and I hope this video helps somebody out. So have a great day, and thanks for watching again, guys.